something that I'll do reluctantly because, oh, hello girls. That's all right, I'd toot at me too on this. Welcome to Translogic. I'm Jonathon Buckley. Most of the motorcycles we feature on this program have one thing in common. They're electric. But when Ducati entered the cruiser market with the XDiavel S and dubbed it the Techno Cruiser, well, we just couldn't resist. I've seen a few guys actually get on this for the first time. And it's hilarious watching them, and I'm guilty of it too. I did exactly the same thing. My foot started fishing for the ground because I was like, where on earth are the foot pegs? All the way up front. The big numbers to remember with this bike, at 5,000 RPM, you're getting 95 foot-pounds of torque. 60 is the amount of positions that it's adjustable to, so that's with foot pegs, seating, and handlebars, and 40 is the degree of lean angle that you can get with this bike. And on any other cruiser, I would be showering sparks out the back of the bike. But on the XDiavel, you can just bury it into a corner and it never touches down. Let's have another go, shall we? Still nothing. We're here with the CEO of Ducati North America, Jason Chinnick. Well, we're talking about, of course, the XDiavel S. At Translogic, we focus on technology and transportation, and you guys have dubbed this the Techno Cruiser.
The idea here is that we have the most technologically advanced cruiser. We decided that it was important to capture kind of the raw elements of a cruiser, but then look forward to the future and the things in regards to technology that Ducati can bring to the table and bring to this market.
Is this all trickle-down technology from your superbike arena?
It's actually a combination of both. I mean, keyless entry was introduced first on the first generation Multistrada 1200, and then really refined to the point where it's perfected for here. But when you talk about all these other technologies, for example, the wheelie control, when you think about the traction control, the cornering ABS, the Ducati power launch control, and the last one is the whole connectability as well. And this is really the first time in anything in the cruiser segment where anybody's addressed it to this level. All of these things, we thought, well, why not put it into a cruiser? Just because it's a cruiser doesn't mean it needs to have antiquated technology.
They call it the Techno Cruiser. Now, it is a traditional cruiser in the sense of the word. I got my feet kicked out forward, I'm leaning all the way back, low seat to the ground, V-twin engine, it's got all of that. But then it comes with a whole bunch of other stuff as well that, well, some will say that you need it, some will say that you don't. But you guys have spent so much time getting this motor to a level that I think is so strong that those things are actually necessary on the XDiavel.
And the reason behind that is that we have this increased power on this motorcycle, but also torque. When you crack that throttle open, you risk pulling that front wheel off the ground.
Yeah.
And so it's a matter of how can we take this technology that we have to utilize to harness the power.
You've got 156 horsepower and 95 foot-pounds of torque. That basically means I'm currently riding a cruiser that not only can do wheelies, but wants to do wheelies. What about infotainment?
What it does is it has a Bluetooth module that you can sync up many different devices. You have a navigation, you have your iPhone, you have a Bluetooth headset that's inside your helmet, integrate it all together where we can increase the safety, but also give somebody technology that's not done on a motorcycle these days.
Cornering ABS, how does that work? For those of us, I mean, obviously we know what ABS in a car means. What's cornering ABS?
The intervention is less aggressive, and it understands what you need while you're going through a corner because, as you know, as a motorcyclist, when you're in a corner, you don't grab the brakes.
Yeah.
Here you can actually lean over, grab the brakes as you need, and it's going to protect you without locking the brakes up and sliding out.
Riding modes?
So it's urban, we start with, and then touring, and then sport. So for urban, what it does is it takes the horsepower from 155 down to 100 horsepower, and it has a very smooth delivery of the power, very linear. So then it goes from urban to touring, which the touring is set up for max horsepower, but a linear delivery of the power as well, so it's a very smooth delivery of that power. And then there's sport. which it's the full horsepower and the traction control and the ABS settings are at a much lower level of engagement. And you could even take each one of those different modes and you can modify them yourself so that you can adjust it to create your own 3, as you will.
So it's got performance, it's got looks. Looking at the website, it says that engine is king, and I think that shows, particularly on the side of the bike, when you can see there's just absolutely nothing in the way, is there?
Yes, in fact, it was one of the things that the designers set out to be able to show, because that is such an important part of not only the cruiser world, that the engine's on display, it's the heart of the bike, but also it's an important thing for Ducati because it's a big part of our characteristic.
What are they asking? Price-wise, base model, $19,995. For the Model S, we're looking at $22,995. So it's not a cheap motorcycle, but nor do I think that that's super expensive. A comparable bike in this segment is going to run you about the same, and I just don't know that it's going to be giving you as much motorcycle. For the money, you're getting a sporty handling cruiser that is capable in most environments. Having Audi as a parent company now, has that changed things at Ducati?
When we come up with an idea, we're able to reach out to them, and what it does is it helps us advance these things or fast forward them much quicker than, say, if we had to do all the R&D on our own.
We've tested a lot of electric bikes here on this show. Is that something that we could see Ducati maybe dipping its toes into those waters at some point?
For us, until we believe that it's at a point where we can do it properly, we're not going to do it. So, you know, it takes a lot to wear that Ducati badge on the side, and it's going to take a long time for us to get to the point where it's going to earn that. Well, it's with great reluctance that I'm going to have to hand back the keys to the XDiavel S, because this is a bike that has really managed to merge 2 motorcycle segments into one, the cruiser and the sports bike, and they've done it with a technological flair. For Translogic, I'm Jonathon Buckley. We'll catch you next time.